For me, the key issues around the pre-consumer stage of fashion waste are based on fashion's perfect storm, which is its key materials. So cotton, viscose rayon, leather and associated tannery processes, polyester. All of those key materials that fashion uses at the moment are not sustainable. And they're linked to a supply and production system that is not sustainable. So cotton is linked to poor practices in agriculture, um, using insecticides and pesticides to maintain year on year growth of crops and success of crops. It's creating dead zones around the world where arable land is no longer usable. And it's associated heavily with desertification, and we only have to look at the Aral Sea to illustrate that. If we look at polyester, it's associated with fossil fuels, again, a no-brainer, but perhaps has the potential to become more recyclable and more circular using current PET cycling systems. If we go for leather, again, associated with the meat industry, and we know the impact of that. And viscose rayon is associated with deforestation, and in particular deforestation of deciduous trees, which we desperately need to maintain. So fashion's got this perfect storm of each element of its supply has significant impact. And that's by design. It's because we're using and designing in materials that don't have sustainable sources and sustainable supply chains.
There's also evidence that the use of cheap, poorer quality fabrics in contemporary fashion means that they become much more quickly damaged, they get more misshapen, they get worn out more quickly. And that further fuels that consumer habit of discarding and replacing clothing at a much, much faster rate than we used to in the past. But the research shows that increasing product lifetimes is probably one of the most effective ways to reduce carbon emissions. And if we could even extend the life of clothing by an extra 9 months of use, that would reduce carbon waste and water footprints by around 20 to 30% each.
Responsible agriculture and textiles is key. We need governments to push for more sustainable ways, for example, to grow cotton. Cotton today accounts for a very large amount of pesticides and chemical fertilizers and other chemical agents. This has to be curbed. We also have to have plans and programs that teach farmers how to use water in a better way without wasting it, and how to keep the land fertile. We need to have more regenerative kind of agriculture spread in the textile industry, and we have to make sure that the earth is kept alive. An earth that is alive and fertile absorbs water much easier than earth that it's been pillaged and made unfertile. So this is very important to push for regenerative agriculture.
Contamination and mixed fibres, they cause some of the biggest problems when it comes to end-of-life recycling and processing. There's some brilliant technology solutions about separating fibres out. But we really need to think about, eco-design measures for clothing. What are the preferable materials to use? And there's a huge amount of debate about that, from durability versus, natural fibres. We have microplastics continuing to be a huge issue. So it's not an easy fix, but we have to move to a point where we're really thinking about all of these indicators when we design clothing and really reducing the impact